My name is Mike, and this is Andrew Gavin already. We're both part of the life interpretation team at the museum as well as to bring this place to life. And what we're going to try and do for you to round off today is we're going to do our best to recreate a genuine medieval sword fighting vessel from about 700 years ago. You see, we're really lucky in this museum to have Europe's oldest surviving fight manual, often referred to as 133, which is the catalogue number or the alternative manuscript. It shows a very distinct system of fighting between a priest and a scholar of the church. In fact, right at the back of the manuscript, even has someone referred to as Saint Walpurga, a woman fighting a priest. It's actually the only example that I know of men and women fighting on equal terms in European manuscripts. So it's actually a pretty special manuscript as far as they go. Now, it was written sometime around 1300, somewhere in Germany, not really sure where. And the fascinating thing about it is the weapon system it uses. Now, I'm going to get Andrew to talk about the weapons itself, and I'll talk a bit more about the lessons as we go along.
Thank you, Mike. One of the oldest combinations of weapons, a single-handed broadsword with a small rounded shield known as a buckler. Now, you might think, and no one would be surprised if you did, that these were used independently, in the sense that the sword was always used to simply attack with, and the shield was always used just to defend yourself with. Well, actually, that's not the case, certainly not in 133. What happens is you are very often using the buckler to cover your sword hand, because of course we're not wearing armour, and whatever position you place your sword in, the buckler can move to defend the hand itself. So it's working as a piece of armour. But it does work independently as well. So if you get the opportunity to break the two apart, you can then use this shield, not necessarily defensively, but aggressively. You can use it to knock their teeth out. You can use it like a knuckle duster. And it's a very handy use of the buckler, but you can also use it to smother the other person's weapons in a defensive manner. So when we looked at the manuscript, it has a series of plays. And by that I mean somebody attacks you in a certain way. This manuscript explains what you can do to defend yourself and dispatch of them all in one go. So there's a number of different techniques, and once you have one technique, you can then build on it. To give you an example, we'll start in a certain position, and then we will show you a play. So to begin with, before we start fighting, we're both representing something rather different. One is a student, and one is a fight master. Now, if I was, for example, which am I?
You're the student.
I'm the student. So as a student, I'm going to adopt a certain stance. This one here is known as half shield. Now, I have the shield covering my sword hand, as I mentioned before, a good use of the buckler, but the point of the sword is facing towards his face. So, effectively, if he moves straight forwards, he's going to become a shish kebab. So he's going to have to work around the edges.
So, I'm the teacher in this particular case. I'm actually the priest, student being the scholar. Perhaps we're learning this as a self-defense method. I don't think priests often thought of going out or go fight with them. But as the priest leading this lesson, I'm going to take up the first guard. Right, so you notice that the sword is by my side, right? Almost as if it's still in the scabbard, ready to be drawn. Alright? The buckler is protecting the centre part of my body. Now, the priest wants to make it very clear that there are two lessons he wants you to remember. The first lesson is don't attack first. If you attack first, you leave yourself open to some form of counter. The second lesson is that if you do attack, engage in a bind, basically take control of your opponent's weapon. Now, for the first play, first sequence, as the teacher, I'm going to ignore all of that. I'm going to show you what might be possible if you attack first and if you don't engage with the bind. It could go something like this.
And that would be very effective if I stood still.
It would ruin your day, wouldn't it?
It really would, yes. However, I'm not going to simply stand still, and he is foolish by making the first attack, because I can do what's known as a thrust strike. Thrust strike, that's correct. The thrust strike. So what I'm doing, as I see that coming in, I use the strong part of the blade, the fort, to defend myself, but I keep the point of the sword facing him. So if we were in distance, that would be close enough to poke him in the eye.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
Very good. As soon as the blades make contact, you're signaling to your opponent what it is you're trying to do. So, if I can see this coming, if I feel the blades make contact in a split second, there's something that might make a good shot. Now, this is called a shield strike. Alright? Now, to revisit it, alright? Now, first intention goes the same. I'm still trying to get him in that first move. Work done. He engages in the thrust strike. Now, as soon as those blades make contact, I'm not going to wait for him to stab me. Instead, I'm going to use the shield offensively. I'm going to cover this weaponry and use something called a nukken. Nukken either means flipping cut or nodding cut. Not really sure which one. Flipping cut maybe because you flip the sword upwards. Nodding cut because if you cut the throat, it causes your opponent's nod. Who knows? Either way, priest wins, happy days.
very good.
Thank you.
Now, that is providing he's quick. Because if I actually see his shield strike coming, then perhaps there's something I can do about it. And that is, if I'm quicker than him, I can get over the top of his, smother both his down, and make him nod. However, depends who's quicker. And of course, what we're doing really here is I'm copying him by stealing the move, because I'm learning.
I'm a good teacher.
You are indeed.
So, one thing you may have noticed that this isn't a big drawn-out fight that you see in Hollywood on stage combat. Real fights will have been over very, very quickly. So this is our best recreation of a genuine fight without anyone dying.
Indeed.
So, that's the lesson that takes place. In fact, we should be honest, that lesson's not really in the book.
It's the principles of what we're talking about.
It makes the assumption you know it already. Now, the first lesson goes as follows. I'm still going to attack first, but this time I'm going to engage in the bite. And it could look like this. And I can just walk you back. We're going to run out of space. Yeah. That bite is simply mastering the weapon, taking control. Easy.
Now, there isn't a great deal I can do about that because it's very quick. The only thing I can do is the first rule of self-defense. Run away. Make some distance, make some room. So if I actually retreat as I see that coming in, I can deliver a thrust of my own. So just to slow that down for you for a second, I see this coming in, I retreat. I then glide over the top of that sword, flick it out of the way, and then come in all in one move to stab him myself.
No. Once again, though, being engaged in the bind, we are signaling to one another what it is we're trying to do. Now, as these techniques progress, they get increasingly harder to do because the timing becomes harder. Which is me basically saying the next bit's hard, so don't expect much.
Alright. Okay. So, start off exactly the same, and again I'm going to retreat. That would do it, and your timing is perfect. However, I'm not sure we kiss and make up.
No, that's right. Let's slow that down a bit for you, though. So, master with the bind. So,
Retreat! Over the top of the sword, go for a thrust.
move backwards myself. But this is called changing the sword. I'm basically bringing the sword over and around and knocking it out of the way. Now, currently, my boxer and sword are separated, charging forward to smash that into my opponent. It's going to hurt his face, but I don't like him. I'm trying to kill him, so it's fine. I'm using that knuckling, that nodding, or the flipping cut. That makes me turn under the armpit, the chest, or even the neck, should I wish. Death, blood, glory.
Indeed. We could kiss and make love.
Done that
Oh,
already.
but, believe it or not, within the manuscript it does say, if somebody is silly enough to try and grab hold of both your buckler and your sword, there is something you can do about it. Would you like to see it?
Is it right formal complaint to take up?
No. And they're working from home.
That's true.
What I did is let go of the weapons altogether. But I did make sure I kept my eye on my opponent. No, genuinely, that is in the manuscript. Now, what happens afterwards? Well, that's another matter altogether. If I was to kick him hard enough in the kidneys or the base of the spine, it might well send him careering into the corner in a state that he isn't going to be able to come back a bit. Or maybe I miss my target and actually it's not the best of ideas. But it does get you out of a grapple, that's for sure.
So, that's really the basics of sword and buckler fighting as we understand it. Now, here's the important thing. There are no right answers when it comes to medieval sword and buckler fighting from 133, but rather than teamwork ones. This is our interpretation, although plenty of practitioners have different ideas. So hopefully we've given you a good idea as to what it might look like. How about we go back through it again, nice and fast, but we'll do it at different angles so people get to see our fronts rather than just our backs.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll start on this one, shall we? So we're going right from the beginning. So I start in half shield.
Half shield. I'm in first guard, I'm going to attack first, I'm not going to die. That's an interesting stuff. Yeah.
Of course, there's something I can do. Thrust strike.
Oh, very good. If my opponent attempts a strike, I will reply with a shield strike.
That's only if you put enough might. Now you've shown me. If I see it coming, I can do it to you.
That's very good. Okay. This time I'll engage to the lines. Still attacking first.
Very good. Your sound effect now.
You inspire.
I move away, I can come in with my own thrust.
Inside to outside.
You got me all right.
I got it, you got it.
Yeah, I know. Very good. Very good.
Come on, let's go.
You got me.
Oh, this one. That is an actual counter, but like Andrew said, if he kicks me in the back, can't go, that's fine. The thing is, in an ideal world, you want to end the fight before it really gets started, and if my opponent wants to catch me off guard for whatever reason, I might not be ready to fight, my hand might not be on my sword. Is there anything you can do if you caught off guard? And the answer is simply yes. So this time, I'd like you to attack first. Simply grab hold of the blade. Yes, you might cut your hand, but he might end up not worse off, but I'm also wearing gloves, so it's fine.
No, it isn't. Always got to be careful, haven't you? So there you have it, ladies and gents. A light look at what was a very serious martial art from 133. Thank you so much. Thank you.